All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, guys, we're going to be checking out Starter Deck 3, ST03 Blue Crocodile. That's right, we're going to be jumping back in time a little bit here. Now, of course, we're going to be using cards that are available now, but we're going to be using a leader that was actually came out with the first starter decks. And number one, I do think he got some pretty good toys to play with because, guys, this is a 7 Warlords of the Sea leader, in case you're not aware, right? This is a 7 Warlords and Baroque Works leader, okay, for the types. So, of course, we already have access to a pretty incredible blue engine, and we'll be exploring that in today's video. But the second thing I want to mention is this is actually kind of just fun, fun fact of the day. For any of the newer players out there, when this game was first released, One Piece, the TCG, there were only 4 colors. It was only red, green, blue, and purple in that order. Red being ST01, and then going through to ST04 being Purple Kaido. And then green was ST02 Eustace Kid, and ST03 was Blue Crocodile, like what we're going to be messing around with today. And it's kind of fun to look at the original designs of some of these leaders, because you could tell they didn't want to break anything at first, and they also were exploring the color identity. Like, for example, giving green the ability to restand their leader by paying a cost and trashing a card with Eustace Kid. Luffy, ST01, it could get extra Dawn access through some of the through Arrested Dawn for the turn, right? Activate main, attach Arrested Dawn to a character or a leader. And then with Purple, with Purple Kaido, it had a major Dawn reduction effect to snag a life card, right? To crash into one of your opponent's life cards. And that was before yellow, right? That was before black and yellow. But blue is really interesting to me as well. In fact, I think it's the most interesting because it has a Dawn minus effect on the leader, okay? And how interesting would that have been if Bandai or Cardass, I believe, was the designer of the game? How interesting would that have been if they had decided to make blue and purple really big on Dawn reduction, or I guess Dawn minusing to do these effects? I think that would have been kind of cool, kind of interesting. Anyway, fun little history lesson for the day, or fun fact, or just a rant session, whatever you want to consider that. Let's go ahead and dive into today's video. We're going to be checking out some games of Crocodile. Let me give you guys a quick layout, because of course we got a few other things to go over as well. First things first, we're going to head over to the lab. Okay, we've got a game of Blue Doflamingo versus Purple Luffy. Okay, that should be very interesting, guys. That's probably going to be a very common matchup coming up here very soon in the meta, in the format. In the West and the East, we'll have to see. So that's first. After that, we are going to head over to the sim. We're going to head straight into 3 games on the sim of Blue Crocodile here, of 7 Warlords version of Blue Crocodile. And then we will finish off with a deck list. So nothing too crazy today, guys. Like we'll finish up with me breaking down the deck list that I'm using, and we'll do some final thoughts and wrap it up in that way. So pretty chill video. Nothing too crazy today, guys. It won't be like a deep dive or anything like that. We're just kind of re-exploring an older leader, and we're going to see how they're doing in today's, I guess this will kind of work as a way to see like how well is Bandai doing at giving older leaders support. And unfortunately, in some cases, like in this case, for example, I think we're going to see today is, hey, this leader actually got tons of support. So if you just like this leader, you got tons of support. However, how does it compare to other available blue leaders that have the same types, right? Then it becomes like, okay, well, why not just play Blue Doflamingo or Blue Boa Hancock? There becomes some questions there, but we'll keep that in our mind as we're going through today's video. Now, let's go ahead and hop into this. All right, first things first, guys. Of course, we got a game on of the lab here. Game on the lab, however you say that. For any of the new players out there, what is the lab? At the beginning of each one of my videos, I try to have this portion dedicated to trying to give back to the community, where essentially I go over community-submitted games. So this game we're about to check out of Blue Doffy versus Purple Luffy, this is not me playing. And in fact, it's people who recorded their own game, uploaded it to YouTube, and then hopped on the VV Theory Discord, on my Discord, which if you don't know how to get on there, it's in the channel description. There should be a link there to get right to the Discord, and then they just posted in a channel called Review My Games, and as soon as you throw it in there, I give it the thumbs up and I add it to the line. So that's what these people did who were checking out today. So if you are interested in me reviewing your game, that's all you have to do. Just record the game you want me to review, upload it to YouTube, hop on the VV Theory Discord, and then go under the channel Review My Game, post the link in there, I give it the thumbs up, and you get added into line. Okay, and at the time of me recording this, just to give you guys a heads up, there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games ahead of this one. So if you're interested in me reviewing one of your games and you might be thinking like, well, how big's the line? When am I actually going to get to see my game? The answer is in about 6 or 7 days, because sometimes I do miss a VV lab because it might be a video dedicated to something in particular. But hey, in about 5 or 6, maybe 7 days at the most, it should be, you know, the next person up. So, okay, all right, now let's go ahead and dive into this. And if you need any help with that, guys, please don't hesitate to ask down in the comment section below. I should be able to help you out on there. Or if you hop on the Discord, that's the best way to get some help. Even if I'm not the first one who can get to you, someone should be able to help you there. All right, very long intro there. Let's go ahead and get into this game now. We got a game of Blue Doflamingo versus Purple Luffy. Okay, playback speed is at 2x. Guys, we're good to go. Volume's off, and let's do this. The quality's as high as it'll go. So this is actually a very interesting matchup, and I think it's fairly balanced, like a fairly even matchup, probably around 50-50, because Purple Luffy can go very wide very quickly, just like Blue Doffy can, but Purple Luffy is doing it taller, while Blue Doffy is doing it more consistently. So I think it's going to really depend on who goes first versus who goes second, what kind of start Doffy gets, because some starts are more explosive than others, like we just saw right there. So guys, did you see that? I was doing so much rambling. Let me just show you guys real quick. So watch what happens here when they play out the Doffy. Those are the top 3 cards they saw on their deck from Doflamingo. So all they have to do now is set the Mihawk to the very first card, so they'll draw it next turn, and have the Jinbei followed by the Boa Hancock. So next turn, when they draw the Mihawk, they can just swing in for 7 with the leader effect, cheating out the Jinbei. Actually, excuse me. What am I talking about? They're going to want to draw the Boa Hancock and then have the Jinbei next. So they have it exactly in the order they need it. So that way they can cheat out the Jinbei with the leader's effect and then cheat out the Boa with the Jinbei's effect. Okay, it becomes a very, very powerful start. So this is an example of an extremely, extremely powerful start for the for the Doffy player. Okay, attaching the extra dawn with the bow as well, coming in for 8. And Purple Luffy tries to counter out pretty aggressively, not like insane or anything, because they want to take their own life cards, so that way they can, number one, you know, draw the card and ramp dawn with the leader effect. Swinging in for 6 here, countering out very aggressively. Yeah, that's just very standard for Doffy to keep the pressure on. Swing for 5, they get a 1k counter. Bo's going to swing for 6 here. And then it looks like we are going to swing for 6 more. Play out the law, bouncing back. Yeah. So that's the new combo, guys. Okay. This will be there will be a video for this in the future from me, I'm sure. But I only have one little criticism of the balance in the game currently when it comes to Doffy, and we're not trying to complain. It's nothing like that. This is just a general statement. It has nothing to do with this current game. I actually don't have a problem with Jinbei, and I don't have a problem with Weevil. I actually think those are fairly balanced cards because they allow you to keep tempo and to refill your hand a little bit. However, the cards that are extremely oppressive are the cards that we just saw, the 4-cost Trafalgar Law. Think about what that just did. He just bounced a card off of his opponent's board that costs 4 or less, which is a crucial card. Guys, the 4-cost cards in this game are extremely crucial when you're entering into the middle game. The 4-cost and 5-cost cards are absolutely crucial, and some would even argue some of the 3-cost cards. But 4 is a very magical number in this game that allows for you to take tempo, you know, and just kind of, how do I say this? It allows you to kind of stick on the board, or if it can stick on the board, it will allow you to get some tempo back and start, you know, battling for the board. However, Trafalgar Law just bounces a 4-cost or lower back. And then, a lot of people might think, like, yeah, but you have to return a card back to your hand. Well, that's actually a very good thing, right? It actually helps in both ways. So you're returning one of your 2k counter searchers, or a 1-cost Perona, or a 1-cost searcher Sengoku. You're returning a card back to your hand while playing out a card. So you actually didn't go down a card for this turn. You stayed the same and developed a body and bounced one of their cards back to their hand. That card in particular, Trafalgar Law, and the 4-cost Gecko Moria in his hand right now, the 4-cost 5k Gecko Moria, excuse me, I think those cards are very, very strong. And Gecko Moria in particular, hear me out on this card real quick, guys. I actually think this came in the game, similar to the leader we're going to be looking at today in Blue Crocodile. I think that this character is kind of in the wrong color. Like, I feel like that should have been a black card color effect for trash recursion. But giving it to blue, and I know they had Miss All Sunday, which you can grab events back from the trash, but maybe if they had made it Baroque Works only, that would have been interesting or different or whatever. But guys, with having access to Gecko Moria in Blue Doflamingo, man, getting trash recursion. So they have, you know, some perks that like usually only a black, the black decks would have, like with Thriller Bark and Navy or CP or whatever. They have access to trash recursion. And then they also have ways to bounce cards, which is what they should be doing. Bouncing the cards, I think, is at least pretty decent. But when it's a 4-cost, bouncing a 4-cost and returning a card to your hand, it seems like it's a little much sometimes. But again, I don't mean to complain. Please don't take that rant the wrong way. I'm just saying, I think a lot of people are getting overwhelmed. I've heard a lot of people complain about Doffy lately. That's kind of one of the reasons I'm mentioning this. I understand why people are complaining, but they're typically complaining about like the Jinbei Weevil combo. That I'm not even worried about. That allows me to, you know, especially with the leader, if they cheat out the Jinbei, okay, I have a 5k target to attack into with my leader, start eating up cards from hand and going about the game that way. But I can't really play the game as well when you bounce back my 4-cost card as well. You know, when you play out your double 4-cost for the turn with something like a Jinbei and like a Trafalgar Law, and you bounce my guy, and now I have nothing on the board, and you just developed 2, that becomes very rough, guys. That does become very rough. But again, not trying to complain, just kind of pointing some things out. And more than anything, it's like, okay, well, that's what we're going to have to start trying to have to play around in the meta going forward in OP09 and moving forward, even in OP08.5 that we're in now. It's like, okay, we're going to have to make decks that start having the 5-cost spot taken care of. And I think taking away first from Doffy might be our best bet because of that. Because if we can go first and put pressure on them straight away, and then when they dump down their Jinbei and Boa, or their Jinbei and Weevil, and then they're sitting on a 4-cost Trafalgar Law in hand, ready to push our card back to our hand. Well, if we put down a 5-cost, well, that's that, right? They don't get to bounce it now. You know what I mean? Some decks are running Jozu, I know, but hey, guys, we're just talking. So that was a long rant, guys. I'm just yapping today. I'm just in a yapping mood. Okay, so they bounced back the what's his name? The Bond Clay, and I don't think that's that big of a deal because now it's a 1k counter in hand and it ramped a Dawn, and they're going to play it out again to ramp another Dawn and cheat out and play out a Zoro. So not the worst thing in the world. However, let's see what happens here. Going to do a top 3 search with Buggy, and let's see what happens here. Going to swing in for 5. Going to swing in for probably what, 6 or 7? Yeah, I like that. Swing in for 7. Because, guys, look at this aggression. Swing in for 8, sit on the blocker, play out a 4-cost 5k. Seems good. That entire last turn there, all of the tempo setup, was all thanks to that Trafalgar Law. Because if the 4-cost, let me pause for a second while they're swinging. If that, what's his name there that is swinging now, the Mr. 2 Boncray Bentham, if he had been down last turn like he was supposed to, he would have gotten an attack on one of the guys on the board and gone from there. But I don't know. It's hard to say because then it would have changed the entire turn for the purple Luffy as well, being able to play it out again, ramping a Dawn, and getting straight to the a 4-cost and 4-cost play. But I don't know. I think the Trafalgar Law, though, is the one that helped set this up and keep crazy tempo on the side of the Blue Doflamingo. One more thing I want to say as well in reference to this whole situation here with like Blue Doffy ramping the way it does. I think there's one other answer that would just really, really be nice. And I wish in One Piece, I wish there was a board clear. And I'm not talking about Kaido. I know people are going to be like, oh, what about 10 cost Kaido? Okay, 10 Dawn turn, they've already swung like 20 times. You know what I mean? The game's over. I have to reference Magic the Gathering real quick. And this was one of my original complaints in One Piece. Bottom decking as a form of removal, bodies with removal, and then not having a cheap board clear. That was always one of my very first original problems with the game, is where's like the AoE 4-cost or 5-cost board clear? In Magic the Gathering, there's a card called Wrath of God, or I think the newer versions are called Day of Judgment. I don't know what they're calling it now. Whatever the case is, it was a 4-cost card that wiped every character on the board, not just your opponents. Everyone's, yours, your opponents, just every board or every body cleared. And I actually think that would be really healthy for the game. I know some people might be like, that would be broken. But guys, you'd be surprised. I don't know of any TCG other than One Piece. I don't know of any TCG that doesn't have a board clear. Other than maybe Flesh and Blood, because there's no... So in Flesh and Blood, I'm not going to get into it, but there's not really a board state. You're just doing actions, you're fighting. It's a class versus class game. It's like a fighter. So you're not really developing bodies in Flesh and Blood. And I know someone's going to be like, no, what about auras and things like this and like the dragons? That's different. Hopefully everybody understands what I'm saying. But typically in a board game, whether it be Magic the Gathering, I don't know about Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I know Pokemon's very different because it's just like, you know, one Pokemon versus one Pokemon at a time. That's very different. That's almost similar to Flesh and Blood, where there's not really like a board state. I know there's a bench, but it's just two Pokemon fighting at first. And I know you can move stuff around, but a board clear in that game, you just lose the game. You know what I mean? Or like if you wiped your opponent's main Pokemon and bench and attack, I think they just lose, right? But anyway, hopefully people understand what I'm saying. I feel like a board clear in this game would be really, really helpful. I think that'd be really nice. And not necessarily in the color black. Like right now, I think black has the closest thing to that with something like Lucci, where they're popping two bodies at once, and not on a body. That's the other thing too. Like, don't put the removal on a body. Make it cost like 5 or 6, so it's like the entire turn for the other player. Let it clear the entire board, your characters included, just so you can reset board positions that we're seeing on the board right now. So anyway, again, it's just going to be a yap session today, guys. But really good play so far by the Blue Doflamingo. They're just running their opponent over, going as wide as they can on the board, playing out. Okay, all right, Purple Luffy's starting to push back now. They're getting some bodies, some big bodies on the board. They're pushing characters back. They're gaining life. They have 5 cards left in hand. Let's see what the Doffy decides to do. Okay, I would definitely be using that Gravity Blade Raging Tiger in my hand currently. So going to smash into there. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay. Going to stay aggressive here by attacking into the board. Not the worst thing in the world. So maybe swing 6 and 6. Okay, real quick. I've had people ask me before in the past, when do I know when to swing for 6 versus 7? This is the situation. I have 2 attacks left for the turn. I can swing for 5, or I can swing for 5 and 7, or 6 and 6. I would absolutely love to swing for 6 and 6, and I hope they counter out of both of them, so I can start getting the 2K counters out of their hand. You see what I'm saying? Because there's almost no way to end the game this turn. But I guess they could try it. Let's see what happens here. I don't know if the Doffy player is going to swing for 7 and then 9. But yeah, no, excuse me. Yeah, so there's no way to win on this turn because they have 2 life left. But swinging for 7 and then swinging for 9 would seem a little greedy to me. I would actually rather them develop the Gecko Moria instead. And I will say this. I will take back what I said about this play here. Gravity Blade Raging Tiger is probably not the best call here, because they can just swing everything into the board very effectively with only 5 cards in the opponent's hand. That was actually handled perfectly. Really good job there. Gravity Blade would have definitely been a mistake there. I definitely take that back. And then you can save it for later. But right here, let's see what the follow-up is going to be. Swing for 7 without Trafalgar Law. This will probably get countered out. Yeah, because they'll go pretty low. Swing for 5. Very nice. 1K counter. Perfect. And we get out the Gecko Moria. Now, let's teach something to some of the newer players. Whenever you're attacking into the board of a Blue Doffy, do not attack into the Jinbei until the very end, unless you just simply don't have another target. If you don't have any other target, then sure, go for the Jinbei. But attacking into the Jinbei, and they'll probably let it get KO'd, because look what would have happened here. It'd have been like, okay, thank you, I'll just use Gecko Moria and snag it back to get more effects from it. And that's where, again, what I was saying earlier, just to finish my point, there's 3 cards in Blue Doflamingo that I think are a little bit, or just let me just say, in any kind of blue 7 Warlords deck, there are 3 cards that I'm not sure. You have to always wonder, like, I wonder what the developers were thinking. But the 4-cost Trafalgar Law, the 4-cost Gecko, and then the 2-cost event Perfume Femur. Guys, those cards, like, I think Perfume Femur probably should have been locked to Boa the leader. Make it available to any 7 Warlords character on the field or the leader, Boa, but force it. I feel like they should have locked that to Boa to really give you a reason to play Boa over something like Doflamingo. But I don't know. And guys, I'm not trying to start any fights here. Please, calm down. I can. It's like I'm sure some people are going to get very aggressive about some of these comments because I'm just giving my opinion. But guys, just understand, I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just saying I feel like that would have been a little bit better balance for the game. Okay, well, let's see how the Luffy's going to follow up. That's a good start. Okay, playing out a 5-cost blocker, draw 2, trash 1 effect. This board's got to go. If I'm the purple Luffy, I'm swinging 9 into Jinbei, and I'm swinging 7 into that guy. Okay, so that was a mistake for sure, I feel like. Okay, I see. So hear me out. If you're the purple Luffy player in this situation, I don't think it would have been the end of the world to draw a card from life, and so that you have access to 1 more Dawn from the turn because you played out the Queen going back a Dawn. Because you countered out very aggressively last turn to stay at 2 life, which was really solid, but I think it would have been okay to go down to 1 life then. But now, in this situation, there's no way I would have swung for less than 7 at the Jinbei, or whatever it was, the Trafalgar Law, and then 9 into the other character, because I know they have a 2K in hand, they showed me. right? They showed me that they have a 2K counter in hand. So that's why I would have done that a little bit differently. And then they would only have 2 attacks this turn, and you have a blocker plus your leader. Okay? Let's see what happens. Swing for 5. Okay. They choose to... Yeah, I would have... That was interesting. They chose to just take that. Or, excuse me, they chose to counter out while they had the blocker on the field, knowing you have full Dawn active. I would have probably blocked with the Queen just to get out of that one attack easily without using cards from hand. Okay, but who knows? We don't know what's in the purple Luffy player's hands. Maybe they have nothing but bricks. No. Okay, they had counter for days. Yeah, so I don't quite understand that. So I would have absolutely done the... So we have to go back real quick before we can finish this game, because that was probably GG right there. That was probably like the final nail in the coffin. I think up to this point right here, let me show you right here. I think at this point right here, the purple Luffy actually could have climbed back into this game, and it would have taken to play out the 5-cost Queen like they did right here. Use the leader effect. Actually, don't use the leader effect yet, so your opponent doesn't know what's happening. Attach 2 Dawn to your leader and swing 7 into Jinbei, and then use your leader effect to play out the 4-cost Zoro like they did. And then you would have gotten both 2 characters off the board, 1 less attack to worry about, even though you went down to life. You still have the blocker and all that good stuff. And you had all that counter power in hand that they showed. Make sure you're doing the math on these attacks, guys. Make sure you're counting everything up in your hand. Okay, so they smash in, they get a boa. Now we're in super... well, I mean, I guess it's still not over. I think we can go for the board. Very nice. Got rid of that. 9 into there. Playing out the Kaido. Okay, this is turning into a really close game all of a sudden. This is turning into a really close game. Uh-oh. Okay, so they're going to get Jinbei out here. And I think you have to do a blind rip with your leader. Let's see what they get. Oh, okay, interesting. They're going to put him on 1 life. So that was interesting. I would have just filled up the board there. So hear me out. They didn't have a blocker, so it's game over. That works as well. But another option would have been, because, guys, if they have the blocker, then they could potentially still win. Even though, I don't know, playing out the Sengoku does make it where you get 2 attacks off at least. But hear me out real quick. I think the safer play would have just been, okay, just because you have 6 life, right? You can't lose next turn. It's impossible. So if you just swing for, how much Dawn did we have left? We played out Sengoku. Okay, so this turn right here, play out the Sengoku. I would have either grabbed the Jinbei or the Weevil. Either one's fine with me, but the Jinbei is what I would have gone, because watch, what I would have done here with 9 Dawn is I would have used 4 Dawn on my leader to swing for 9 into the Lin Lin. See if they let that go or not, and then cheat out whatever was on top of life, or on top of deck. Unfortunately, it was a whiff. And then with the remaining 4 Dawn, I would have played out Jinbei, cheating out the Mihawk, and I would say, okay, your turn. I have 3 bodies on the board and my leader attack. I have 6 life, and you have no cards in hand, or you lose your Lin Lin, right? So you have 3 attacks, and you're in full top deck mode. That's just the way that I would have gone about it. But anyway, really good game there. That was a very educational game. We'll just go to where, let me just see what was in their hand. Swing 13 to 5. They take it, draw for the turn. They're seeing if they get a blocker. They did not. So that's a good game. Awesome. That was a good one. That was a fun one. All right. Now, let's move on. I took forever on that one, guys. I just started yapping there. I just started going on a rant. But I think a lot of people are probably thinking about the same thing as me when it comes to Blue Doffy right now. But I'm going to save that for another video before I actually do a deep dive into that topic. Okay. And again, not trying to complain, just, talking about the state of the game, basically. All right. There we go. Good enough. So, guys, now we got 3 games on the sim of Blue Crocodile, okay? First game up here, we got a game of Blue Croc versus ST14 BLaffy, is what I call him. Black Luffy ST14. So, let me turn the volume off. Let's get the speed up to 2x. And here we go, guys. Notice my hand. It looks just like the Doflamingo hand we were just looking at, but I'm running Sanji's PLuffs in here. I don't really know why, guys. I was just trying to make the list a little bit different so it wasn't just a straight-up recreation of, just copy-paste Blue Doffy into here. Okay, so I play out the Sengoku on turn 1. I don't remember what I searched. I think I got a Trafalgar Law, swing for 5, and do a Sanji's PLuff here. So we're in pretty good shape. All right, we take a 5K hit here. That was extremely, extremely greedy. Understand that? That was extremely greedy. Now, they did see me search up the Trafalgar Law, if I'm not mistaken, so playing that out seems a little crazy to me, but hey, I'll take it. That Trafalgar Law is insane, guys. It's insane in the early game. It's insane throughout the game, because a lot of really high-quality, high-priority blockers, or I don't know if that's the right word for it, like a lot of blockers. Let me pause for a second. A lot of the best blockers in the game, like Borsellino, Rebecca, and then any of the, characters, or excuse me, blockers under 4 cost, Trafalgar Law just moves them out of the way and says, all right, now you have to replay it. You're not going to get the value from it. I'm still going to bounce back my blocker, and then we're going to go from there. So that's what makes the card so strong. And with this leader, we have another way to bounce cards, which is really nice. Okay, so Jozu, just going to push cards back to your hand all day, like as one does. So swing 5. They're giving me cards from hand. They're down to 4 life. I've got a 5K and a 7K on the board. And I'm just going to keep moving through this game. They play out an E-show there, and I trashed 2 cards. That was unfortunate. Swinging for 5, though, we're countering out of that every time. We are countering out of that. Okay, let's just get this E-show off the board. Let's just remove every single card they play. You know, it's almost like a blue-black deck at this point where it's like, hey, I'm just going to remove every card. Okay, and they just quit because I'm just taxing every card from their hand or getting cards from their life, and everything they play is just getting bottom decked. And next turn, for those who might be wondering, like, well, how is this game actually going to end because they left prematurely? Next turn was going to be swing, however was needed, and then play Jinbei into Weevil. And now the aggression continues, and I'll get to draw 2 cards, and I have a Sengoku if needed, and I still have 4 life. And were they going to be able to deal with the Jozu on the board? I'm not sure. They have the Gecko Moria in hand, but what do they have in their trash? I'm not exactly sure. Really fast game there, but that was a fun one. Guys, this is a very strong tempo deck, guys. And with the leader effect late game, that bounces a 5 or less. Dawn -4 bounce a 5 or less, so that's actually not that bad. But in the early game, it's not exactly, it's not doing anything in the early game. Okay. 2x speed. Here we go. Sengoku to start. Grabbing Trafalgar Law. You love to see it every single time. You love to see it. Right here, I don't really have a play, so we're coming in for 8. Your turn. And then next turn, I can go Jinbei into Trafalgar Law and bounce whatever they play this turn. They didn't play anything? Okay. So now we're going to attach 1 Dawn here, swing 6. Going to play out the Jinbei, cheating out the bow. I could have swung for 7 there. That was a play mistake for sure. I always forget that, guys. You can attach a Dawn with the last part of bow's effect. I miss that sometimes. They use the 6 cost Hakai Ocean Sovereignty to pop my 2 characters. Strong tech card against 7 Warlords. Really strong. But no worries. I top deck another Jinbei. We're fine. So we'll play out the Gecko, getting a Boa, so we can start going through more cards. Okay, and I've got another Gecko in hand, so I can just keep getting these cards back. So understand that's really what I'm complaining about, right? Or what I was complaining about earlier in the lab portion. Gecko Moria makes it where it's like, okay, whatever they just did, whatever they just spent 6 Dawn on, and Dawn -1 or 2, whatever that card costs, Gecko kind of just undoes the effect, you know, and it's like, I understand, I guess that maybe that was part of the design principle of it, but it just seems like it's a little much for what the deck's doing currently. Kind of more in reference to Blue Doffy, of course, cheating out the characters. But as you guys can see, I mean, it's like I don't have a leader effect right now, guys, and I'm just flooding the board because that's what 7 Warlords does. Swing in for 7. They did get a trigger there to do a top 5 search for a Big Mom Pirates or Animal Kingdom Pirates card. Play out Kaido, pop my blocker. I think they should have popped probably like the Gecko or something and tried to force me to use the blocker, but it's the bigger body, so I get it. Well, all right. At this point, they've only got 2 life left. I can be hyper-aggressive here, or I can build up for next turn. They only have 5 Dawn. So let's swing for 6s here. Every 2K counter is gonna belong to me. We've gone through 3 X-Drakes now. 3 X-Drake 2K counters. Going to play out this, going to play out that. And here we go. Setting up for next turn. I'm going to have a... whatchamacallit for next turn. I'm going to have a, Red Rock. If I even need it. Because look what they're having to deal with. I just got, okay, there's a Black Maria in their trash. So I know there's at least 4 2K counters in their trash right now. Okay, swinging in for 5 there. I'm going to force them to use whatever they're trying to use there. Yep, you can have that card. Play out the King and smash in for 5. Okay, that's fine. I didn't expect that. I'm not going to lie. I did not expect that. So right here, I think we're going to do the old-fashioned swing 7, swing 9, swing 11. The old-fashioned 7, 9, 11 here. Yep, and that's GG. So guys, that's just kind of what the deck can do. That's a lot of fun, right? That's actually a lot of fun. Look at their hand, by the way. If this game had gone to 10 Dawn, they might have been able to pull that off. That might have been pretty ugly. Okay, very interesting having the 10 cost Luffy with Kaido here, with having the way to ramp Dawn with Onigashima down already. So I don't know if I like it or not. I think it's just going to be better in purple black Luffy, or even red purple Luffy. But the Kaido I do like. Because Kaido, the 10 cost Kaido, I think instead of running the Hakai Ocean Sovereignty, so hear me out, guys. I actually think the Hakai Ocean Sovereignty might have cost them the game. Because if they just, like, dropped down a Kaido and started smashing in like that, they would have taken board control immediately, and then from there they have a 10 cost 12k, and they have the stage down. They're just going to keep ramping Dawn and getting back in the game in that way. But who knows? I don't know I don't even know if they had those cards in their hand at the time. Maybe they drew it throughout the game. Okay, we got one more game. We got some Crocodile versus Crocodile gameplay here. Some Croc versus Croc action. Okay, make sure that actually clicked. It did. Volume's off. Speed's 2x. And here we go, guys. Excuse me. So the reason that I can run the Sanji's PLuffs is because I don't have a turn 2 play if I go first, right? If I go first, my turn 2 play is Sanji's PLuff. Okay, so right here, I'm going to play out the Edward Weevil. I did not get any special start here, unfortunately, and no 1-cost cards. We'll look at the list in a minute, guys. I probably need to go up on some of the 1-cost targets. We'll have to see. They swing it for 5. Very annoying. That card's very annoying, too, by the way. That is a 3-cost 4K, 1K counter with on KO draw card. Very annoying card there. And so is that. So is that card, guys. What is that, Golden Week, Marianne? That card locks down, I think it's a 5-cost or less character for a turn when they can't attack. It's a 4-cost or 5-cost or less character. Really annoying card. Really powerful card. So we're going to smash in for 6 here, see if they want to save it. And they do. They go 2K, 1K. Well, now I'm just going to bounce it back to their hand, right? Play out the Jinbei. Guys, that is absurd. Like, that little action there is, that is just crazy. Going Jinbei into Law, return my Searcher back to my hand to bounce your tempo off the board. And I produce 2 bodies. Okay, we'll see what our opponent does next. They're going to swing in for 5. This is like a Baroque Works version of Blurple Croc, and I don't think it's as good as the 7 Warlords version. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but that's just the way it feels to me. Okay, so I can get a 2K counter here, or I can get the Boa Hancock. I do like the Boa here because it just kind of shuts stuff down. It develops a really big body for them to deal with. Okay, so just kind of do a little bit of math here. I do have, so for those who don't know what that card is in my hand, the 4-cost event, it's called Sobbles, and it is a 4-cost event that bounces a 7 or less to the owner's hand. And the trigger does the same thing, bouncing a 7 or less, guys. Really strong. Okay, so swing 5, swing 5. I'm just eating up their hand right now. They keep locking down my Weevil. I haven't got to swing with Weevil one time this game. Really solid. So we're gonna block, or excuse me, we're gonna shut down the 3-cost 4K Miss Doublefinger, and then say your turn, developing a really big body in the process. 7 into 5. I don't actually have any counter power in hand. I only have a 1K. I only have 2 1Ks in hand, so I'm not going to use anything to try to get out of that. And excuse me, I couldn't even get out of it. Okay, so right here, I do have 10 Dawn. I can bounce stuff back to hand now with my leader if needed. So I was reading what that guy does, that Mr. 1 Das Bones. He has like a... So let me pause real quick. On opponent's attack, once per turn, Dawn -1, play up to 1 Baroque Works type character card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. So I bounced back the 4-cost blocker, so now they can't use the blocker. Let's see what they do here. Play out Miss Monday. On play, give +1,000 to a leader or character this turn. So now their leader is 6,000 power. They still 2K counter to get out of it. And yeah, that's where we're at right now. So that's where swinging for 6 can be very annoying for your opponent. Forcing them to give 2K counters or super efficient or super inefficient 1Ks. Swinging for 6, and then here we go. There's no blocker because I bounced it. And it looks like they're going to come my way. Come away. Pushing my attack over to someone else. And now it is their turn. Now, the only problem is they have a full board, right? But those are very small characters. Those are extremely small characters. And even though I don't have much counter power, I was going to get a 1K, a 1K, and a 2K from the top of my life. And I already had a 1K, a 1K, and a 1K in hand. So it was going to be very hard for them to poke through lethal with what they had on the board. What they would have probably had to try to do, so with 10 Dawn, 2 have to go to the 2-cost characters there, the Golden Weeks. So 2, 4, 5. So 5 Dawn is already off the table just so that you can swing for 5 across all 5 of these bodies. Then you'll have 5 Dawn left to try to get out of these attacks. And with the 5 Dawn left, you'll be able to swing either, 4 6s and a 7K. Maybe that would be the best way to go about it. And I guess at that point, they're out of luck because I only have to get out of 2 attacks at that point, and I could get out of 2 very easily. Okay, that was fun, guys. This list is very much in beta. Like, it is not done. It is not finished. This is what I have so far for it. A lot of it builds itself. because I was just running the 7 Warlords package. So I've got the Mihawks, I've got the Trafalgar Laws, the Buggies, the Boas, Jinbeis. Like I said, the list almost completely builds itself. But because I'm running, where'd the leader go? Because I'm running this leader. So real quick, let me read what he does for the people who don't know. Activate main once per turn, Dawn -4. Return up to 1 character with a cost of 5 or less to the owner's hand. But that's a Dawn -4 effect. So you don't want to use that unless you absolutely have to go for lethal or whatever, right? Or to prevent lethal from your opponent, etc. However, the thing is, I don't have this turn 3 play. I don't get to go, or excuse me, not turn 3, 3 Dawn play. I don't get this turn 2 play going first for 3 Dawn, attach 2, and pay 1 to cheat out a character from the top. So that's why I'm running the Sanji's PLuffy. So that way, in case I was going to go first, I have a few options. Now, yes, I am running the 4 Sengokus, and I am running 4 Buggies. And there might be an argument to get rid of this card. It might just not be worth running. Maybe this should have been Perona or something like that, just so I can set my top cards a little more efficiently. I don't know. We'll have to see, guys. Today was meant to be more of a fun, chill video, just trying to show off a fun deck. And I definitely want to know what you guys think about it. I definitely want to know what you guys think about this list. Ultimately, you guys saw how it functions. I want to get down to 1-cost character like Sengoku, like Buggy, or like I said, potentially add Perona. And then on my turn 2 play, and by the way, I would prefer going second with this deck, especially because I don't have the turn 2 play going first that Doffy has. So I'm always trying to grab second from my opponent, and then I mean, it still doesn't change the play, right? Because I still want to go turn 1 Sengoku, getting what I need, or turn 1 Buggy, you know, changing things the way I need them. And then turn 2, I can play out my 4-cost Trafalgar Law, bouncing whatever they played, or the perfect play would be like Jinbei plus Trafalgar Law, bouncing whatever they played and getting my Searcher back to my hand. And then on turn 3, again, this is going second, I have 2 pretty insane options with the 6-cost 8K Boa or the 6-cost 7K Jozu. So, yeah, that's kind of where it's at right now. I was running 4, 8, 10 events. That's why I was trying out the Miss All Sunday. Pause and read this card if you don't know what it does, guys. If your leader has Baroque Works, okay, well, don't worry, ours does. If your leader has Baroque Works, return up to 1 event card from your trash to your hand. So, in other words, I can pull back Sanji's PLuffs later in the game. I can grab back Red Rocks if I need to deal with big characters. Grab back 7 Gravity Blade Raging Tigers. Grab back this Sables card. Oh, pause and read this if you don't know what this does. This is that card that I was explaining earlier. But other than that, guys, I mean, this deck is completely straightforward. Nothing too special about it. Nothing too crazy. What you see is what you get. And I know the games were a little bit short today, but man, this leader, or excuse me, well, I should say this type 7 Warlords of the Sea. Guys, it's literally just a high tempo deck that has removal on curve now. It has removal on curve. And that's what makes me, like, I've been thinking about the list more and more, and I'm almost considering dropping something, either 2 Boas or 2 of these Sables, and going up to 4 Jozus. Just going up to 4 Jozu, so that way I can just continuously, like on curve, just bounce whatever I need to. Because I think the perfect curve would look like this. So going second, right? Going second, turn 1 Sengoku, right? Turn 2, play out Jinbei, play out Trafalgar Law from the Jinbei, bouncing the Sengoku back to hand, bouncing their 4-cost back to hand. Their turn, right? Then on turn 3, excuse me, assuming any of those characters lived, if the Sengoku, or excuse me, the Sengoku would be back in our hand, but if the Jinbei or the Trafalgar Law lived, you attack with everything first, and then you play out the Jozu, bouncing back the character to save it so it doesn't get KO'd, and then you bounce back a 6 or less character. It just seems like such a perfect curve, guys. It's something I've been trying to work on with even just with Blue Doffy, but with a leader like Crocodile. Here's the way that I would interpret it, guys. Here's the way that my mind works around it. Early on, this effect is obviously insane, right? Like, this effect early on is what allows you to get a lot of tempo very, very quickly and retain it over the course of the game. However, if you can make it to the late game, like if you can get to the 10 Dawn turn and you can start throwing characters back to their hand with this kind of character, that also helps you, like, win in the late game. It helps you win the matchups in the late game if you're both just bouncing characters back the whole time, you know, in like a mirror match. But that's something I'll have to explore for later. I have not put a ton of time into this deck, just being completely upfront and honest with you guys. But the time I have put into it, guys, I want to say I played. You know, people like to ask me, what's your ratios with these decks, because I only show the wins. And it's like, guys, I think I played like 4 games, won the 3 that you saw, and lost 1. And I'm not saying this is the best deck in the format. I'm not saying this is an easy replacement for Blue Doffy or something. But I think it's an interesting, a very interesting take on 7 Warlords. Well, guys, that's it. I'm done. I'm done rambling. I love going back and trying out these old leaders and seeing what kind of support they get from Bandai. Even though a certain leader might be the best in that color option, it's still fun to re-explore these older leaders. Well, guys, I really want to hear what y'all have to say about this, what y'all think about it. Is this list on to something? You guys tell me in the comment section below. If you just really enjoyed this leader, this might be a deck for you to try out. Because remember, guys, like, yes, Blue Doffy's kind of known as like the 7 Warlords of the Sea deck, but Crocodile and Boa are both 7 Warlords of the Sea. And they both have their own different kind of, semi-perks. Like, Boa has the built-in card draw, whereas Crocodile has the built-in, pushback, the bounce effects. So, all right, I'm done yapping. We're done. Oh, just to finish that thought, this is a 7 Warlords of the Sea leader, so you do get all the benefits of Boa and of Trafalgar Law. So really good stuff there. Okay, now we can move on. Let me go and bust out the playmat page. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. To everybody who has been supporting the channel. Hope you guys, actually, real quick, I'm getting ahead of myself. Thank you to everybody who likes, subscribes, shares, comments, views. If you're doing any of that stuff and helping my channel grow and helping keeping it, how do I say this? Keeping it moving like this and keeping the views up and everything. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And guys, for everyone who bought the playmat, I hope you guys are enjoying those. Those came out awesome. I got to start thinking of a new one. I've got some ideas in my head. I'm trying to think of a new playmat currently. Okay, and then last but not least, for the patrons out there, thank you so much. There we go. Minimize my head a little bit. Thank you to everybody who just has dedicated or has donated to the channel literally just to help out. I really, really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. All right, I'm done. Hope y'all enjoyed. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, peace.